of sums up the region.
True. We couldn't have asked for a better fitting end than that. But we still have yet to decide a winner. We still have yet to find out whether the prophecy is true or whether Aurora will take what is, I think, fair to say, an expected victory here. I mean, if you've watched the games, you'll know that it's not expected in the slightest. We don't know what to expect at this point. Every single game, Amel has started this off with the all-chat GLHF darlings.
Good, right? You still gotta keep up that that positivity and that good energy.
Yeah, I mean, also just good manners, man. Like,
that's true.
Q, let's set up some lane vision. That's gonna allow him to dodge out this early movement. It seems like trying to get up for first blood, and the level 1 from Darling is really, really strong. I don't think they can just stay around in these dangerous areas.
No, they definitely can't, right? It's okay. It's not the craziest level 1. Like, you don't have the most amount of damage, nothing too reliable. But the Wave of Terror goes a long way, right? And that's about it.
Oh, speaking of the Wave of Terror, I think Drake was able to sneak past that mid lane vision and actually plant a ward on the high ground. So that's going to give them really good info on where the Meepo is sending his little buddies come level 4.
Yeah, that's going to be the name of the game, really, because Meepo is able to gank a lot quicker than, well, a Broodmother's not ganking, right? There's no way.
Broodmother's going to be
focusing on...
You literally don't know. You can't say that. We don't know. We don't know.
That's true. That's true. I have no idea what to expect from this mid Broodmother, but I would like to believe that Meepo is better at ganking than a Broodmother. Let's call it there.
Sure. The Big Daddy P, let's see whether he makes an appearance. There still is the task to kick him back out of his own home, but like we mentioned already, you never know what to expect from this Darling lineup. They've come this far already, and they have the full power of what feels like a large portion of the community behind him. The people love Cuckoo, and honestly, how can you not? The people love Yoei, the people love Palos, and they are grabbing all the energy of their fans, grabbing all the energy of the supporters, and they're just trucking it through with some of the jankiest drafts we've seen. And it's working.
Yeah. I mean, like, break it down, right? Like, they have an answer to Egg. They have potential, like, Aghanim Scepter on Marcy could be huge. Meepo hates being silent, so that Bloodthorn is going to go a long way as well. Yeah. Phoenix, we've already talked about that. Death Prophet, you've got the DK high armor hero, right? It's not too big of a deal. You've got protection for the Lina, from the Lone Druid.
Yeah.
It kind of answered pretty much everything from the Aurora draft.
Yeah, the tricky thing as well is now you're looking at this DK and potentially Broodmother. I wonder whether you go for something like a Spirit Vessel on the team. It'll help out a lot in terms of reducing that healing coming out from both the Dragon's Blood and Insatiable Hunger. But it feels like such a big investment.
And who builds it too, right? That's the main question.
Great sidestep from Q, dodging out on that LSA. They'll try and turn it around, but the Tusk, he's taking a considerable amount of damage. Also, Palos not letting them get away with that lightly.
Just clicking them down the entire time.
Yeah.
Doing what damage you can. How does this top lane fare? Because Bear, he's going to be getting Orb of Corrosion, right? So Cuckoo isn't going to have the easiest time standing in lane. That regeneration is going to be hampered quite a bit.
Yeah, I think realistically speaking, Bosco and Drake, they'd love to chain their stuns onto Ollie, but between the slow on the auto attacks and the Bear just punching away at you, unless you call in external support, like maybe Jotun comes through the Twin Gates again, as we've seen him like to do, I don't think any sort of a kill is going to be possible for Darling at least.
And keep your eyes on the 3-4 minute mark to see where Jotun goes, because that could be the case, but it's hard to leave Lina alone in this kind of lane.
Yeah.
The Death Prophet Tusk, you catch the Lina out on a shards and she's donezo.
Yeah, I mean, if the past games have taught us anything, I'm looking at Drake coming into the 3 to 4 minutes. He has routinely come into this mid lane to help Yoei get an advantage. And he has a pretty decent hero to do so as well, right? The stun is very, very straightforward. Before the Meepo hits that level 4 will be great timing. As we already see the Venge start to make her way over. Just like clockwork, actually. I mean, yeah, the Drake is just...
Not the hero, though.
No, not the hero. The Drake guy who's doing this almost like a routine. Palos pump faking that LSA will be able to tag out onto Q. With the Crypt Swarm, nice Fairy Fire. They get the kill first. Goes over to Jabs, trading out as he's just going to be able to start to walk down Palos. Not going to waste time chasing him in the tree line though. But again, Jabs getting an early advantage.
No, Meepo got super low there, Armel. He's kind of forced out of lane before his level 4. He's very close to it, dude. We should get it from this creep wave. Q's here to back him up as well.
They see Drake because of that daytime vision, but they know that this commitment would be borderline suicidal for that Vengeful Spirit, especially with the risk of the shards.
And DK Bosku, he's got to be careful too. Right, like we've already talked about, this lane doesn't do the most amount of damage to him, but it could whittle him down to a place where he's not in the best position. Yeah. And to be fair, he's not doing the best right now either. He's 10-0 on the old last hits.
I mean, that's not the end of the world because Bosco, we know he's going to prioritize his own farm, but I guess key thing for me is it feels like if 23 stays unbothered, he's going to hit a pretty crazy diffusal timing and start running over these heroes. The response isn't that strong from the supports, and they might just keel over here, especially on the Lina and the Brute.
Especially if you get it, like, if you get it early enough.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going to stop the bear from running at you.
We've seen 11-minute, 12-minute diffusals with all the Corridors.
Yeah.
So.
No rotations really yet coming into these side lanes. But it's a hard gank, right? Whether it be DK Venge or Marcelina.
Yeah.
Hard ganks. And the Phoenix isn't really known to be a ganking hero. Tusk obviously can, but he's busy right now.
Yeah, that sounds like an excuse, man. I was like, no, he can't make it, as they will make the move onto Drake on that top side. The bear going to work, like you mentioned, off of Corrosion. Suddenly, these kills are a lot more feasible. Uh-oh, Bosco. Pressured up, but should be just fine. High levels in the Dragon's Blood and the double bracers. Not as viable of a target. But yeah, I mean, you already mentioned it. The lanes from Darleng are pretty robust. And the fact that 23 is just able to work them down like that in the one-to-one sort of face-to-face matchup, I can't help but feel like you need to bring someone up here to deal with him at some point.
That's another place Vengeful Spirit's going to go like really well into their draft as well. If you're not swapping the Lina, you're swapping the hero, like the lone druid instead of the you're never swapping the bear. But if you can get on top of the hero, swap him in, catch him before he gets that true form off, you're in a very good position.
Yeah, we didn't really talk about this yet, but the Marcy and Tusk sort of interplay is quite interesting as well, because if you pop out the shards and she hasn't rebounded yet, she's just out of there, right? It's very, very easy.
Or she's pulling other heroes out of the shards.
Yeah, just tossing them back. There you go. Up you go. You're fine.
Yeah, up and over.
Yep. It's not a big deal. It's just some ice, buddy. What's the big deal? Speaking of dealing, we talked about the Brute Mother not ganking. Here is Yowie slowing him down and starting to dive. Ollie here to save the day again with the attack slows, and they're punching onto this poor Brood Mother, getting slowed up. The magic damage over time, it's not going to be enough. The last bit of Fire Spirits desperately trying to retreat into the tree line, but they have eyes on this Brood Mother, and she will go down. Not the rotation that you wanted, and Amel is here as well. One net, it's all it's going to take, but they have a shot just a couple in. The tag teams with the Meepos starting to beat into poor little Boss Cuckoo, and Ollie will burn him down. Double kill for this Phoenix. And not really the start that Darleng were looking for. Meanwhile, bot side, Palos, he's getting threatened by jabs, but a bit too aggressive on this Death Prophet, it seems like. Doesn't have another Crypt Swarm for half a second, and Jotun will be able to punish him.
Look, there's a reason I questioned the Brood Mother ganking, and that is kind of it right there. What do you really do?
I mean, he had a good attempt at it, right? Started slowing. It's just that I feel like 23 was too close to the tower, and the positioning just wasn't in their favor. Bosku, he was right there with the stun. I guess they're just kind of lacking in the damage department. That's why I was saying, you know, Jotun, maybe he needs to sort of pop by. But we saw what happens if he wasn't there to save Palos. He'd be in a lot of trouble now. Utilizing that level 6, great stuff. The setup onto poor Jabs, and the DP will go down. So when they've lost that advantage in the top side, they get it back at least at bot.
That's actually so bad. DP, like, just TP'd, right? So you got to do the old walk of shame.
Yeah, it's not a good look.
Not level 6 yet either on the Death Prophet, right? You'd really like to get your 6 as early as possible, pop that Exorcism, and start doing work on the tower or these heroes. Right now, because of it, you're kind of stuck doing absolutely nothing and trying your best just to accumulate a little bit of XP.
Yeah, I mean, every single player runs DP a little differently, but I think for people who are a bit unclear, there's a very popular guidebook on page number 1, it says you need to try and force the opponent carry out of lane with Crypt Swarm. But speaking of being forced out of lane, Bosku is just dead. There's way too much damage and the slowdown from both the tag team and the Orb of Corrosion. But here comes the full squad of Darling. They want to punish, jumping forward onto the real hero, Drake. He's going to be looking for a stun, but already in the true form. Ollie here again with the Sunray. Beautiful Savage Roar to hold them back. And uh-oh, the roots. This is not what Yowie wanted on this Broodmother. Dive forward as well. And the last little bit of a snowball, you can't even web up to the high ground. And Amel a bit late to the party, but he wants to play. All he needs is a net. Toss you back. Slightly gonna go wide, a little bit awkward now as, what, 4 heroes start filtering here, but it's a perfect shot. The rest of Darling, they don't want to let this go lightly though. A beautiful LSA holding Amel in place. He needs to poof out and he'll be just fine. The Spirit Bread might be the next target. Looks like they'll be able to just kind of get out of there pretty scot-free. Another magic missile available, but the rest of the team kind of got blocked up on that cliff. And yeah, 23, he's able to fish his bear out of trouble, bring it back to base with him. That was what felt like a 5-man rotation from the side of Darling just to save themselves there.
But again, the Broodmother, what are you doing ganking? Like you're trying to force some sort of objective. Like, yeah, I'm a mid laner, I should be ganking, but I feel like your priority right now should be getting that Orchid, getting that Bloodthorn, so you can really start doing things around the map. That's when you gank.
Yeah, and at this point, Jabs, the freedom in this bot lane has allowed him to just fully exo on that tower. It's not down just yet, but it's just about.
And the pressure hasn't been reciprocated on Darling either, right? This top lane tower is looking fine. DK form has not been put to the most use for the first time.
Yeah. I mean, Cuckoo, largely he's just been pressed back to his tower. He hasn't even seen the tier 1 Radiant tower in a hot minute.
Yeah. He hasn't seen a creep in a hot minute.
Set up in the mid lane. Amel in some trouble again. Nice toss back and a much needed kill. They might just continue on to Jabs as well, but not wanting to overcommit. I think 4 games is enough for them to realize Aurora will TP in these heroes. They don't care. But pressure on the mid tower instead.
I like this a lot better. Bring heroes to the Broodmother instead of bringing the Broodmother to you. It's just not worth it.
Yeah. I think they were feeling a bit of pressure, feeling the need to stop 23, but I mean, if 23 feels the need to drag himself all the way to mid lane just to address you, that's a lot better of a flow state for you.
It's going to get Broodmother a little bit closer to her Orchid, which, like we've talked about in Meepo, he will have that Mega Meepo eventually, so he does have ways of dealing with the Orchid, but he won't be able to dig. And that's kind of the big thing, right? You got a Mega Meepo and then dig, which isn't the most ideal, right? You'd like to span out your digs and use them very sparingly, right? You want to, dig one Meepo and then, dig the other, dig the other, dig the other. Make it so annoying to bring down these heroes.
Yeah.
This hero. Multiple heroes in one hero.
Yeah, mode whack-a-mole a little bit now. Just
a little bit.
I'm gone. Okay, so I know that when we saw Palos do it, you weren't the biggest fan of that Mega Meepo rush on the Aghanims because you felt like it wasn't really a timing they could play around. How are you thinking about it this game? Because you were saying, okay, maybe something like a Diffusal you can get active. Amel in that mid lane, he's chosen to go for that option instead.
His focus is on his survivability, and I think that's where he needs to be right now. He can get burst from full to 0 from all of these stuns, all of this damage from Darling right now. You need to be survivable, because if you're not, it doesn't matter if you have a Diffusal Blade. You're not going to be able to survive these fights.
Yeah, that's kind of the problem. The Diffusal, it's still a very strong item, but it's far less survivability and stats than it used to be. A lot more for the active and just getting things done on the map, and obviously the build up into Disperser. That's still a ways away as smoke up now, Darling. Oh, the webs should indicate that there's some action coming out. True Form still able to pop off though. Marcy turning around with the Unleash, gonna start laying the hands out. Ollie doing his best to just burn away with the Sunray, and Jotun nowhere to go, locked up. The rest of the side of Darling, they just get out of there. Offer Jotun as a sacrifice.
How many times, Sneeze?
I mean, this game not too bad, honestly. I mean, I think he's done a great job on the Marcy so far to enable Palos, and that's not a man we talked about in a while, right? He's just quietly trucking away, farming, Maelstrom, Falcon Blade complete, almost towards his travels already. It's a really insane timing, honestly.
Just how many times are you going to gank with this Broodmother for it to amount to nothing? Right? It feels really bad when, if you think about it, you could probably be a lot closer to your Orchid right now if you just sat mid and farmed.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, Yoe, he's still doing okay on the net worth. Real sufferer is Bosku. These two offlaners haven't really had the time of day. But in comparison to the explosive growth that Amel is facing, even with that slight hit and miss early game, you know, it's a 3k gold lead overall for Aurora, though they are trucking ahead. A little bit concerning for Darling because it feels like with this Lone Druid, Meepo, and DP, they can hit quite an early timing and start pressuring down, even on your high ground, or even at this Roche, and you don't really have that crazy team fight in the same way you did in previous games to really contest that.
Yeah, Roche and Towers are dead. They're dead meat.
Yeah.
Like, between the Druid, like one or the other, not even necessarily both, and you put those powers together, and obviously it's a lot better than just one individually. And even Meepo, to a lesser extent as well, is a decent tower pusher.
Yeah, I mean, he can always send one or two as long as he's confident he's not gonna get solo picked off. I've found him once or twice. The power of Palos, a lot of burst damage there. That's quietening down a bit, 4 to 8. Both these teams just biding their time, especially Yahweh now. It feels like he's just kind of realized, yeah, I kind of need this Orchid before I want to get moving again. So he's just focusing on farming, still occupying this mid lane. That's kind of one of the trickinesses of the Brute Mother in the mid, right? After you're done clearing up the first tier 1, you want to move aggressively into the jungle, set up spaces there. But it kind of feels like it's too far away for the rest of your team to really hang around with you. It's a very awkward position to take, especially against the Aurora lineup. They'll still try though. Moving forward now aggressively with that smoke.
But you've got the Orchid. That's going to be the key difference this time around. And you're bringing in Cuckoo as well.
Yeah, you're bringing in Cuckoo. You're bringing in... Feels like everyone other than Palos. It's Milton leading the charge, but without an ally nearby, you can't exactly springboard onto the target that he wants. Blink Dagger for Cuckoo might be what they're relying on to get that immediate stun off.
They're waiting for someone to come defend this tower. They're baiting their Lina quite well.
I mean, she shows her face a little bit here and then immediately disappears. The fact that that Spirit Bear is attacking, they know 23 is around. Jolton reveals himself on the creep wave. And it feels like the jig is up. Like, they know they're going to see Yoe coming in now with all these little spiderlings. They pop the true form. And if they're able to get out, that will present a small opening where 23 is without that. That's exactly what they do. Bide their time. Just a bit of patience here. It's going to go a long way.
They could just go again very shortly, right? Yoe, he's finished that Orchid. He's got now a double damage rune. Sorry, an amplify damage rune.
Yeah, get it together, man.
Yeah, sorry. Old habits die hard, what can I say?
True. I mean, it was a recent change.
Yeah. But yeah, if you're not getting stuff done with this Orchid, it kind of feels bad. So they feel a little forced to make some sort of movement. They scan out Roshan, but that's not being had right now. Aurora, they are chilling in the bottom lane.
Yeah, I mean, there's always that fear. Like we mentioned, the objectives, they don't stand a chance. So every time you don't see the Aurora heroes a bit too long, a bit of that fear sets in. Now in a very aggressive position, but Cuckoo might not be the person you want to dive. He has a small Lotus, no safety bubble as well, and the potential TPs from his team instant blink out. The safety bubble is what makes the difference there because his blink doesn't get cancelled. Oh, that new neutral item is so busted.
It honestly is. I'm a bit like, there is never a scenario where I'm playing support and not getting safety bubble most of the time.
The barrier fully regenerates after 5 seconds. Come on, that's ridiculous. I mean, even as a support player, I understand how disgusting it is. Like, you know, a core just trying to get on top of me and now I'm able to just dipski-do out of there. Whatevs. See ya! Bye-bye!
Oh, I kind of like this by Darleng. They're forcing the Roche. I mean, if they can steal the first Roshan from Aurora, that's really going to slow down their momentum.
Yeah, we talked a lot about the objective-taking potential for Aurora, but Darling, they have that in spades as well, right? The Brute Mother bringing the Broodlings in, as well as Jolton with the Unleashed Paddles just laying into the mix. Should be a very easy Aegis for them in Aurora. They weren't expecting this at all.
Which is fair. I mean, you shouldn't be expecting this kind of lineup to be doing Roche 18 minutes in. You should be the team that's doing Roshan 18 minutes in, realistically.
Yeah, the crazy thing is we haven't seen anything like an Egg or like a properly committed EXO other than that jump. Oh, Amel, he's just straight into that Lina, but that's what the swap is there for. Beautiful stuff from Drake to fish Palos out of trouble. The turnaround Gleipnir, they have the touch on the jabs. Even in the face of that Laguna Blade, he's fine thanks to Ollie, who's there with the Sunray. So much healing. They committed the EXO for that though, and all they really get is a support. So once again, I mean, you really have to play around these timings on the side of Darling. The second the EXO or the True Form are used, should try and make something happen.
Venge up in 5 seconds. That's going to be when they make their move, if ever, right? That's your timing, right? You want these heroes, all your heroes, to be active. You can't afford to not bring one.
This Spirit Bear is terrifying already. Echo Saber Diffusal and just 400 gold off that Harpoon. I mean, Marcy, like you mentioned, can lay out a lot of damage, but if you're just being rooted up and burned away at in terms of your mana, it's going to be a real tough situation.
I think Marcy needs 2 crucial items this game. It's the BKB and the Aghanim Scepter, right? That's going to be what I'm looking out for Jotun.
Palos. This is a
little
going
net on net action.
Dude, what is going on here? They just dude, Jotun just gave him the good old step. Dude, what the heck was that? Jotun's like, yo! How'd you like farming and netting it? Just go about on my day, don't worry about me, just level 9 Marcy. Potentially warding up your jungle, which is exactly what he did there. Trying to be all inconspicuous, like, nah, there's no vision here. Chill out, man. I'm just here for potential gank.
I mean, how many times have we seen Jotun get these deep visioned out just to die, right? But
yeah,
that's value. We've already talked about how valuable that can be.
Yeah, I think one of the big sort of understated components about Jotun is how much emphasis he plays around the vision, right? It's hard to think about when you see him dying, but stuff like the Venomancer, that gives you a lot of information. And all these deep wards, they've been setting up Darling for success here and informing Yowie on some of these sort of more initially suicidal plays, but then you see the information that they have and it makes a lot more sense.
Smoke out Aurora. They're, fighting in Aegis, but they still feel confident, which is good. Right? You want confidence in a game like this, right? Backs up against the wall for both of these two teams. You need a little bit of confidence.
Yeah, I think it's a great point that you're making because it feels like, especially in the past 5 minutes, everyone's playing a little scared. We felt that a bit from the side of Darling coming into Game 4, and that decisive Roche move was a great one. They even preserve their Aegis on the Lina, but this Tormentor timing, this smoke, it's perfect. Amel, he's found them straight onto that poor bench, and Palos loses his first life. Bosku desperately trying to finish off the Tormentor, but he doesn't have the damage. He's gonna lose it as well as his carry. Ollie gets the shot, and that is going to amplify the Sunray damage by such a country mile. They clean up Palos, and Bosku, his priorities were clear, but they end up losing their carry. That's the worst possible outcome there.
It's weird how Aurora aren't pressuring this tier 2 tower, though. I feel like with EXO and the Bear, they probably could have taken it before Lina was up.
I mean, more than anything, just a bit of respect, right? I dare say, like,
yeah,
the cooldowns are down. They didn't use the egg, but True Form is used. They're showing discipline there, playing around their timings, and Amel will feel very safe to grab this Tormentor. So much value in the 2 shots going their way. I mean, whoever it ends up going on, it's going to be huge. You already got
all
the highest...
the shards are value.
Yeah, you already got the highest value one.
Yeah. Hey, Tusk 1 is good too now, because if you get the shards in a position where they're kind of in the middle of it instead of at the tail end of it, Marcy can't grab them out of it.
Yeah, it's a bit too long. And Yowie, not to mention, it's a very low committal way to clear some of those spiderlings who might be trying to split push. Just toss it out there, cancel Bosku's little blink as well.
Radiant are scanning.
Still want to keep things going though, but Palos, he's one component away from that BKB. Surely that must be the timing that, Darling will feel the strongest. This Broodmother with a haste. I mean, she's he's walking funny. Smoke break.
There you go, Ollie.
Getting found in the immediate Orchid. Finally coming to fruition there. Bosku will get that last touch as the rest of Aurora just retreat. They want no part in this.
No chance for the Phoenix there, right? And that's power of the Orchid, right? And maybe, just maybe, if you go BKB first on the Broodmother and you don't have that Orchid, you get out of there on the Phoenix. Maybe.
Yeah. It's a similar situation to what Jotun's been doing. I mean, the fact that the cost 5 dies is not too big of a deal. I think it's unfortunately your best possible outcome. Maybe Q could be up for consideration, but he's just, with the rest of the team, looking for a setup now. There isn't anyone here other than Palos though, and it's a very easy TP spot for them to respawn. We've seen Aurora sort of toss away their advantage in this area before. Straight onto Palos, they see him. Shivas with the slow. Where's the rest of the squad? They can't get here in time. The Marcy's gonna come through just to watch her Lina drop to the floor, and oh, unfortunate, the shots. Not gonna connect, but you got the big target. The Lina is down again.
That was the first shards we've seen that haven't connected, right? I'm pretty sure every single shards have connected except for that one.
Still have yet to see this Brute Mother get much done on the map. We'll try and pressure things out here. Actually pop the BKB. Even just kind of play a little bit with Armel, and that's gonna prove to be a mistake. Yoe stranded himself here, and Q will gladly Warrior punch him to death. Armel, a bit of a comeback from a rougher early start. It's not even gonna matter 23. He's just alone here beating on you. He's gonna beat on your tower. What the heck?
Yep, absolutely. As long as Lina's dead, you've got the opening you want to push these tier 3 towers down. Like we've already talked about, they go down fast.
Oh, Jabs, being so annoying there. The pump fake, those little arms came out, baiting out that glyph, and immediately the swap back. You might just get the touch on the lone druid. He's falling low, and Palos, he's able to finish off 23 Savage, but it comes at the cost of both your bench and Marcy. Buyback is available, and it almost feels like Aurora, they want to commit because this Exo's been popped. Q coming through with the roll immediately. The buyback's on the spot, but can they make it here in time? Burning away because of that Sunray. The shard, it's gonna do so much work as Q narrowly dies there. The Marcy able to finish him off. It's a dieback. Bosku in some trouble as well as Mega Meepo standing his ground and standing tall at that. You use up Yoe, but there isn't any follow-up. This is falling apart here for Darling.
They've got buybacks on their cores, but for what, right? Like, what are you going to do without Dragon Form, without Laguna Blade? Sure, you can plink them down on the Lina, but that's about it.
And that's not really a very convincing situation. You'll silence up Armel now, but it's just you. Jabs will just turn around and kill your Venge, and Drake is died back. I mean, we talk a lot about this lone druid and the tower pressure. Hey, Meepo can do that. I've asked for anything better. This guy is messing around, and tips come through as well, but this is how you know they haven't given up. They're about to come back. This is the telltale sign of what happens in every single Southeast Asian pub. You hit a couple end straights, you know, the passive aggressive tips throughout your team, and then suddenly they pull off this miracle high ground defense. It is still possible. I wonder what Gabe thinks though. Let's have a look at that win probability.
Yee, it's 100%. There's no way. There's no chance that Darleng come back.
All right. See, all I gotta say is maybe Gabe's not familiar with the ways of Southeast Asia Dota. That's all I gotta say, right? Because the second you say those words in all chat, you unlock a different gate of energy. It's like you know, Rock Lee, when he taps into all those gates. Like, that's not. Nobody knows he can do that until you finally pop it out, and then you're like, oh, okay. I guess his power just went up by 9,000. That's kind of what it feels like for Darling here, but maybe I'm just hoping and coping again. Aurora, they look unstoppable right now.
Almost a 30k lead for Aurora 30 minutes in. I mean, we haven't seen a lead like this in a hot minute.
Dude, it's not really, and if this is just how things end here, it will be unceremonious, especially Talos just being kicked back. Forced to just BKB, finally connecting on the swap, but Drake has to sacrifice his life once again. No buyback for another 2 minutes. It almost seems so easy. Palos, he's used that BKB already. The next jump from Q will be the one that just does them in. One more little soccer kick to the curb. You know that task. He's eyeing them up like juicy prizes at an arcade stall.
You can't show on Lina.
You can't. He's just gonna come in, do it again. Q, he's found Palos, and Palos goes down. 60 seconds without him and no buyback, but they will do a lot of damage. Immediate buyback on the Tusto, but Bosku and Yoe, they have no chance. The connection might be there, but it's not enough to defeat Aurora. They'll just stand their ground. Everyone's full HP. You just buyback on Q, and Yoe, he's just gonna get swatted down like the bug that he is. And 23, some tips coming out to his former captain. Congrats. They're just smiling. I mean, they've come really close, and we always keep talking about how at some point it might not have been a joke anymore. It might not have just been a meme. They could have really made a good shot at DreamLeague Season 22. But as the dust settles, Aurora, they make them work for their salaries for sure.
Yeah. And like Armel said at the very end there, right? Props to Darling, no boot camp.